When someone lies to you, even about the smallest things, it chips away at something sacred, trust. A relationship, at its very core, is built on truth, honesty, and mutual respect. Without that foundation, it doesn't matter how charming he is, how good he looks, or how sweet his words sound, because words without truth are just noise. And yet, many women ignore these early signs. We call them white lies or no big deal. We excuse them with phrases like, maybe he didn't want to hurt me, or everyone lies a little. But let me be very honest with you, when he lies about the small things, it's not about the lie. It's about the mindset behind it. It shows you that he's willing to bend reality when it suits him, that he's comfortable creating a version of the truth that works in his favor, not one that respects your right to know what's real. Let's be clear, lying isn't about protecting you, it's about protecting himself. When he tells you he was stuck in traffic, but he was actually out with friends, that's not harmless. That's a conscious decision to mislead you. It's saying, you don't need to know the truth because I don't want to deal with your reaction. And right there, in that moment, he takes your voice out of the equation. You don't get to decide how you feel because you were never given the full story. And the danger, it doesn't stop with small lies. Small lies become big lies, they grow. Because once someone gets away with bending the truth, they learn they can shape it. They test your boundaries first with something silly like, I forgot to call because I fell asleep, when really he just didn't feel like talking. Then it becomes, I didn't tell you about her because it wasn't important, even though it absolutely was. Suddenly, you find yourself in a relationship where you're constantly second, guessing what's real and what's not. That's not love, that's emotional manipulation. The saddest part, we as women are often conditioned to forgive, to be understanding, to not overreact. We're taught to look for the good in people, and while that's beautiful, it can also blind us. We believe in potential. We see what they could be, not what they are. But let me tell you something from experience, potential doesn't build a relationship. Truth does. When someone lies to you repeatedly, they don't respect you. Period. They don't trust you to handle the truth, they don't value your emotional safety, and they're not afraid to risk your peace for their convenience. And no, it's not your job to fix that. You're not his therapist. You're not his moral compass. You're his partner, and partnership demands honesty. Some women stay because they hope he'll change. Maybe he'll stop lying once you've been together longer. Maybe once he's more secure in the relationship, he'll be more open. Let me be blunt, if someone is lying to you now, that is who they are choosing to be. Change doesn't come from love alone, it comes from accountability, and if he's not even willing to be honest about the little things, why should you believe he'll be honest when it really counts? Also think about the toll it takes on you. Lying doesn't just affect trust, it affects your mental health. It makes you anxious, paranoid, always wondering, always decoding. You lose sleep, you check his stories twice. You look for proof when you should just be able to rest in peace. That's not how love should feel. You deserve to be with someone who makes you feel safe, not someone who makes you feel like you're slowly losing your grip on reality. Now, I'm not saying everyone has to be perfect. We're all human. We all make mistakes. But lying is not a mistake, it's a choice. And repeated dishonesty isn't a flaw, it's a character issue. A man who lies to you about where he is, what he's doing, or who he's with isn't keeping secrets for your benefit. He's doing it because he doesn't care enough to be honest, and if he doesn't care enough to be honest, he is not worth your trust. Remember who you are. You are worthy of truth. You are worthy of clarity. You are worthy of a relationship where you don't have to play detective just to feel secure. Don't let anyone convince you that asking for honesty is too much. It's not, it's the bare minimum, and if you're in a place where you're constantly questioning whether you can trust him, that's your answer right there. Trust is not meant to be a constant question. It's supposed to be your constant answer. So the next time you catch him lying, ask yourself, if he can lie this easily now, what makes me think he won't lie when it really matters? You deserve love that doesn't come with hidden strings, half-truths, and emotional confusion. You deserve transparency, respect, and someone whose words align with their actions. If he can't offer that, don't shrink yourself. Don't beg for honesty. Walk away with your dignity, because when you choose truth, you're already winning. You catch yourself making excuses for him, and at first it feels harmless, maybe even compassionate. You tell yourself he's just going through a rough patch. He's stressed. He had a tough childhood. He didn't mean what he said. He's not usually like this. You find reasons to soften the blow of his actions, to paint over the sharp edges of his behavior with explanations that make it easier to stay. You speak for him more than he speaks for himself, defending choices that hurt you, just to preserve an image of love that no longer reflects reality. This is how it starts, with small rationalizations that feel loving, even noble. You justify the silence after an argument, telling your friends he just needs space. You explain away the forgotten birthdays, the ignored messages, the backhanded compliments. He's not good with words, you say. He's under a lot of pressure. You start to believe that your love is strong enough to absorb the impact of his shortcomings, that your understanding can somehow heal his inconsistency. But in doing so, you slowly abandon your own emotional truth. What you're really doing is carrying the weight of the relationship alone. You become the spokesperson for his mistakes, the translator for his apathy. Every time he fails to show up, you rewrite the story in his favor. You protect him from judgment, especially your own. And that's the most dangerous part. You begin to silence the part of you that knows better. The voice inside that says, "This doesn't feel right," becomes harder to hear beneath the layers of excuses you pile on top. This pattern doesn't make you weak. It makes you human, especially if you've been taught that love means sacrifice, that patience and forgiveness are more valuable than boundaries. You may believe that by giving him time, space, and empathy, you're being supportive. And in a healthy relationship, those are beautiful things. But when you're constantly explaining away someone's lack of effort, their poor behavior, or their inability to meet you halfway, you're not being supportive. You're settling **. You tell yourself he's not a bad guy. And maybe he isn't. Maybe he's just not the right guy for you, because love is not supposed to be this confusing. It's not supposed to make you question your worth, your standards, or your sanity. If you have to twist yourself into knots just to justify why he treats you the way he does, that's not love, that's emotional gymnastics. And the longer you do it, the more exhausted you become. You might notice that the more you excuse his behavior, the less he changes it. That's because people don't change when you cushion their consequences. They change when they're held accountable. If every time he messes up, you clean up the mess and convince yourself it's not that bad, what reason does he have to do better? He's already being rewarded with your loyalty, even when he's not being loyal to your feelings, and somewhere along the line, you forget how to speak your truth. You stop confronting him, not because you've forgiven him, but because you've given up on being heard. You pretend everything's fine when it's not. You tell your friends he's just not affectionate, when what you really mean is, "I don't feel loved." You say he doesn't like conflict, when the truth is he avoids responsibility. You cover up his indifference with words that make him sound more like a mystery than a man who's simply not showing up for you. And that's the thing you deserve: someone who does show up. Someone who doesn't leave you scrambling to find reasons to excuse the way they make you feel. Love shouldn't require you to betray your own needs. It shouldn't put you in a position where you're constantly rationalizing behavior that you would tell your best friend to walk away from. Because deep down, you know if someone you loved came to you with this same story, you wouldn't hesitate to tell her she deserves better. So why is it so hard to tell yourself the same? The truth is, every excuse you make for him chips away at your self-respect. It teaches your heart to tolerate less than it deserves. It rewrites your definition of love into something that revolves around enduring pain rather than receiving care. You start to see love as something you have to earn, something that might get better if you're just more patient, more forgiving, more understanding. But real love doesn't require you to perform to be seen. It doesn't need a defense team. It stands strong on its own. So if you find yourself constantly explaining his behavior to your friends, to your family, to yourself, it's time to stop. Stop explaining. Start observing. Start listening to what your emotions are trying to tell you. Trust that discomfort is a signal, not a weakness, that confusion is not romantic, that inconsistency is not passion, and that love, when it's real, doesn't need you to make excuses for it. It shows up, it speaks clearly, it honors you every single time. You are not here to shrink, to settle, or to save someone who doesn't want to be saved. You are here to be loved in full, not in fragments. So the next time you hear yourself say, "He didn't mean it like that," pause, breathe, and ask yourself, "but what if he did?" And if the truth feels heavy, don't carry it alone. Walk away not because you stopped loving him, but because you finally started loving yourself. There's a certain kind of disrespect that doesn't always scream, it whispers. It doesn't come in the form of harsh words or loud arguments. It comes in the form of being late, canceling plans at the last minute, leaving your messages unread for hours or even days, forgetting important dates, saying "I'll call you back," and never calling. It's subtle, almost dismissible. And yet it hurts just as deeply, maybe even more, because it sends a message without saying a word. You don't matter as much as everything else in his life. When someone consistently disrespects your time, what they're really doing is showing you how little they value your presence, your schedule, and your emotional investment. And the worst part, at first you might not even recognize it as disrespect. You tell yourself, he's busy. You give him the benefit of the doubt because he had a long day, or something came up, or he just forgot. But when it happens again and again and again, it's not forgetfulness anymore. It's a pattern, it's a choice. You rearrange your day to fit his, you make yourself available, you skip outings, you delay commitments, you even wait hours just to hear from him. And in return, he treats your time like it's disposable, something he can use when he wants to and ignore when he doesn't. That's not love, that's entitlement. That's someone who assumes you'll always be there, no matter how little effort he puts in. The truth is, time is one of the most sacred things we can give someone. It's the one thing we can never get back. When you choose to spend your time with someone, you're offering a piece of your life. You're saying, this moment, I could be doing anything else in the world, but I'm choosing to be here with you. That deserves appreciation. That deserves respect. And when someone treats that time casually like it means nothing, they're telling you something very important about their priorities. But here's where it gets tricky. When someone disrespects your time, they often mask it with charm. They know how to make it sound like they care. They'll apologize, they'll promise to do better, they'll say all the right things, and because you care, you believe them. You convince yourself that next time will be different, that this was just a fluke, that people get busy and it's not that big of a deal. But it is a big deal, because if someone keeps showing you that they're unreliable, that your time is optional, that your needs are secondary, eventually you begin to internalize that message. You start to believe that maybe your time isn't that important, that maybe it's normal to wait for someone who barely shows up. You shrink your expectations to fit their behavior. You adjust to their inconsistency like it's the price you have to pay to keep them in your life. And that's the part that should never be normalized, because every time you let someone disrespect your time without consequence, you send a silent message, it's okay to treat me like this. And you deserve better. You deserve someone who shows up when they say they will, someone who values your time not just when it's convenient for them, but because they genuinely want to be a part of your life consistently, not occasionally. Think about how many times you've waited for a text, waited for a call, waited for him to confirm plans, waited for him to apologize, waited for him to change. That waiting becomes a lifestyle. It becomes your emotional routine. But you weren't born to wait around for someone to realize your value. You were born to be someone's priority, not their backup plan. And don't fall into the trap of thinking that being patient or understanding will eventually earn you the respect you deserve. Respect isn't something you have to earn through silence and sacrifice. It should come naturally from someone who actually cares. If a man truly values you, he'll value your time, he'll show up, he'll be on time. He'll communicate, not because you demanded it, but because he sees your worth clearly and he wants to honor that. It's also important to recognize that how someone treats your time is a reflection of how they will treat other parts of your life. A person who is careless with your time will often be careless with your feelings, your boundaries, your goals, because someone who truly respects you doesn't pick and choose when to show up. They show up all the time in the small moments, in the plans you make, in the way they speak to you, and in how they follow through. There's nothing wrong with having high standards. There's nothing wrong with expecting consistency, effort, and mutual respect. That's not being needy, that's being emotionally mature. The wrong person will make you feel like expecting basic decency is too much. The right person will make you wonder why you ever accepted anything less. So stop accepting apologies without changed behavior. Stop waiting for someone to realize what they had only after you walk away. Start protecting your time like the priceless thing it is. Because the moment you start valuing your own time, you attract people who do the same. You are not a second option. You are not a backup plan. You are not someone who should ever be kept waiting. You are a woman whose time is precious, whose presence is powerful, and who deserves a love that arrives on time every time. There's a moment in every relationship where you stop and ask yourself, why haven't I met his friends? Why haven't I been introduced to his family? Why does it feel like I'm living in a secret chapter of his life, a chapter he never lets anyone else read? When a man keeps you hidden, it can feel subtle at first. Maybe you brush it off, tell yourself it's too early, or that he's just private. But as time passes, it becomes clear he's not just private. He's intentional. He's deliberately keeping you out of view, and that silence starts to feel like rejection dressed up in politeness. At first, you give him the benefit of the doubt. You want to be understanding. You assume he just needs time. Maybe he's been hurt before. Maybe his family is complicated. Maybe he doesn't have many close friends, and so you wait. You convince yourself that if you're patient, he'll let you in. But relationships aren't supposed to feel like waiting rooms. You're not supposed to sit there hoping to be acknowledged while he enjoys the benefits of your love in private. When someone truly values you, they want to show you off not because you're an object, but because you're important to them. They want their people to know you. They want to include you in their world. They're proud of the relationship they're building with you, and they're not afraid to let the world see it. So when someone hides you, especially after weeks or months of being together, you have to stop and ask yourself the hard question, what is he hiding? Because people don't hide what they're proud of, they hide what they're unsure about, what they're not ready to commit to, or what they don't want others to question. Sometimes it's because there's someone else in the picture. Other times it's because they want to keep their options open. And worst of all, it might be because they don't see the relationship going anywhere long term. They just don't want to let go of the convenience or the comfort you provide. You deserve more than being someone's secret. You deserve to be part of the full picture, not a hidden corner. When he avoids posting a photo with you, changes the subject when you ask about meeting his people, or conveniently leaves you out of key parts of his life, those are not small things. They are signs, red flags waving right in front of you, telling you, something's not right. And yet, it's easy to fall into the trap of self-blame. You start wondering if maybe you're asking for too much. Maybe you're being insecure. Maybe it's your fault for wanting to be seen, acknowledged, included. But let's be very clear, it's not needy to want to feel like a real part of someone's life. It's not clingy to want to meet the people who matter to him. It's not high maintenance to expect visibility in a relationship. It's asterisk asterisk basic respect asterisk asterisk. Being hidden isn't just about not meeting his friends or family. It's also about how he treats the relationship in general. Does he only make plans with you late at night? Does he avoid taking you out in public? Does he downplay what you have when others ask about it? If the answer is yes, then what you're in isn't love, it's a situation, and you've been placed in the shadows by someone who doesn't have the courage or the intention to give you more. The longer you allow yourself to stay hidden, the more it chips away at your self-worth. You begin to shrink, you stop asking the hard questions, you tell yourself you don't want to pressure him, but what about the pressure on asterisk you asterisk, the pressure to keep quiet about your feelings, the pressure to smile through the discomfort, the pressure to keep convincing yourself that maybe next month will be different? There is nothing romantic about secrecy when it comes to love. Love isn't afraid of light. Love wants to be seen, celebrated, honored. If someone is proud of you, they'll act like it. If someone is serious about you, they won't treat you like an afterthought or a placeholder. They won't hide you because it's not the right time. They'll bring you into their world because it asterisk is asterisk the right time, because asterisk you asterisk are the right person. A man who keeps you hidden is not protecting you, he's protecting himself. He's avoiding accountability. He's keeping his options open. He's building a life that you're not fully a part of. And if that doesn't sit right with your soul, that's because it isn't right. Your intuition knows, your heart knows. You just have to stop silencing it for the sake of holding on to something that doesn't honor you. You deserve to be with someone who chooses you publicly and privately. Someone who isn't afraid to call you his. Someone who wants to build a life with you that's not hidden behind locked doors. You deserve to be seen. You deserve to be valued out loud. And you deserve a love that doesn't make you feel like a secret, but a priority. Always. There's a version of love that feels like sunshine, steady, warm, and empowering. It lifts you up, makes you feel confident in your own skin, and reminds you of your worth every single day. But then there's the other kind, the love that leaves you second, guessing yourself, questioning your value, and walking on eggshells just to keep the peace. When you're with someone who makes you feel more insecure than empowered, it doesn't always happen overnight. It happens slowly in tiny cracks that widen over time. It starts in your mind, then creeps into your spirit. At first you feel excited. He compliments you, pays attention, gives you the butterflies that everyone talks about. But as time passes, you notice the compliments fade. They're replaced with criticisms disguised as jokes. He points out your flaws under the mask of honesty. I'm just being real with you, he says when he comments on your body, your clothes, your makeup, your choices. But truth without kindness isn't honesty, it's cruelty, and when that cruelty comes from someone you love, it hits deeper than anything a stranger could say. You begin to shrink in response, not just physically, but emotionally. You doubt yourself more often. You start looking in the mirror and seeing yourself through asterisk his asterisk eyes. Flawed, not enough, always needing to change. You overthink your texts, reread your messages, question if you're too clingy, too distant, too emotional, too cold. You try to find the perfect version of yourself that he'll approve of, not realizing that real love doesn't require performance. It meets you where you are and helps you grow, not for them, but for asterisk you asterisk. The insecurity becomes your silent companion. You feel it when he talks about other women, and you wonder if you're being compared. You feel it when he scrolls through his phone with a smirk you're not invited to understand. You feel it when he's hot one day and cold the next, and you start blaming yourself for his mood swings. You begin to internalize the emotional roller coaster as your fault. Maybe you weren't affectionate enough. Maybe you were too available. Maybe if you were prettier, quieter, sexier, smarter, asterisk more asterisk, then he'd treat you better. But let's be clear, a love that makes you feel small is not love at all. It's control wrapped in confusion. Real love doesn't compete with your self-worth. It asterisk adds asterisk to it. It makes you feel seen, not scrutinized. It reminds you that you're worthy just as you are, not after you lose 10 pounds, not when you dress a certain way, not when you change yourself to fit a mold he likes. And sometimes the insecurity doesn't even come from harsh words. It comes from what's asterisk missing asterisk. He doesn't encourage your dreams. He doesn't support your goals. He rolls his eyes when you talk about your passions. You stop sharing parts of yourself to avoid feeling dismissed. You stop growing so he won't feel threatened. You keep yourself small so he won't feel insecure. And in the process, you lose pieces of yourself you used to love. This is not what partnership is supposed to look like. A real partner claps when you win. They remind you of who you are when you forget. They don't belittle your confidence. They asterisk fuel asterisk it. They don't compete with your light. They stand beside it, proud. When you feel more insecure than empowered, you have to step back and ask, asterisk, what am I actually getting from this relationship? Asterisk, because if all it gives you is anxiety, fear, and self-doubt, then what exactly are you holding on to? Don't let loneliness convince you to settle for half love. Don't let someone else's fear of your power convince you to dim your brilliance. The right person will never make you feel like you're too much. They'll never ask you to be less so they can feel like more. Love should not make you feel like you're constantly auditioning for approval. It should feel like a safe landing, not a battlefield. It's also worth saying this: if someone makes you feel insecure, that doesn't mean you're weak. It means you've been emotionally invested in someone who isn't showing up the way they should. You stayed hopeful, you gave grace, you tried. That doesn't make you foolish. It makes you human. But the most empowering decision you can make is to stop trying to fix what was never meant to be yours to repair. You deserve a love that feels like home, not like a test. You deserve someone who sees your strength and admires it, not someone who's intimidated by it and tries to tear it down. You deserve to feel chosen, not just tolerated, seen, not just looked at, celebrated, not just accepted. You deserve to wake up every day knowing that your partner is on your team, not playing games behind your back or making you doubt your place in their life. So if you're with someone who makes you feel more insecure than empowered, let this be your sign: walk away. Not because you stopped loving them, but because you finally started loving yourself enough to choose peace over chaos, confidence over confusion, and truth over excuses. Real love feels like freedom, and freedom begins the moment you stop settling for less than you deserve. There's something deeply unsettling about a person who says all the right things but fails to back them up with action. It's a kind of emotional dissonance that leaves you constantly trying to bridge the gap between what you hear and what you see. When his actions don't match his words, it doesn't just create confusion, it erodes trust, self-worth, and your sense of emotional safety in the relationship. At first his words sweep you off your feet. He says he cares. He says he's different. He says he wants a future with you. He tells you he's all in, that you're the one, that he's never felt this way before. And in those moments you believe him, because who wouldn't want to believe in love, in promises, in potential? But slowly reality starts whispering in your ear. He says he'll call, but he doesn't. He promises he'll make time for you, but he's always busy. He tells you you're a priority, but you constantly feel like an afterthought. He speaks about commitment, but his behavior screams casual, and you're left in the middle, holding his words in one hand and the emptiness of his actions in the other, trying to make them fit. The truth is, anyone can talk a good game. Words are easy, they cost nothing, and they can be crafted beautifully, wrapped in charm and charisma. But words without action are empty. They may sound sweet, but they have no weight. And eventually, you begin to notice the cracks. You start seeing the pattern. He talks when he feels guilty, when he's about to lose you, or when he wants something from you. He knows what to say to keep you hopeful, to stop you from walking away. But once the moment passes, once the threat of losing you disappears, so does the effort. And yet you find yourself hanging onto those words like they're gospel. Asterisk, maybe he means it. Asterisk, you tell yourself. Asterisk, maybe he's just going through something. Maybe he doesn't know how to express his feelings properly. Asterisk, so you give him more time, more chances, more benefit of the doubt. But at some point, you have to stop listening to what he says and start paying attention to what he actually does. Because real love, real respect, real intention are always shown, not just spoken. It's not about expecting perfection. It's about expecting consistency. It's about expecting that a man who truly wants to be with you will show up not just when it's convenient, not just when he's afraid of losing you, but all the time. Through the hard moments, the boring days, the messy parts of life, because love isn't proven in poetic declarations, it's proven in commitment, reliability, and follow-through. When someone's actions don't align with their words, what they're really doing is gaslighting you. Maybe not in the obvious, malicious sense, but in a way that makes you question your own reality. You begin to wonder, am I asking for too much? Am I being impatient? Am I misinterpreting things? But your confusion is not a sign that you're overreacting. It's a sign that something is fundamentally off. Love should feel clear. You should never have to play detective to figure out if someone truly cares. You shouldn't have to analyze texts, replay conversations, or search for hidden meaning in the way he behaves. If he loves you, he'll show it. If he respects you, you'll feel it. If he wants you in his life, he'll make space for you, not just make promises about someday. When his words and actions don't match, believe the actions, because anyone can say, I love you, while treating you like an option. Anyone can say, I'm trying, while making no real effort. Anyone can say, you matter, while constantly prioritizing everything else over you. Words are cheap when they're not backed by behavior, and here's the part we often ignore. If someone keeps showing you who they are, you have to believe them. Stop rewriting their behavior in your head to match the fantasy you're holding on to. Stop clinging to the version of him that only exists in the future he talks about, but never moves toward. That future won't magically appear. If he wanted to build something real with you, he wouldn't just say it. He'd start building it, step by step, day by day. You deserve someone whose words you can trust because they're consistently reflected in their actions. Someone who doesn't just tell you how lucky he is to have you, but actually acts like it. Someone who doesn't just make promises under pressure, but follows through without being asked. So don't settle for potential, don't settle for lip service, don't let someone keep you in emotional limbo with pretty words and no commitment. You are not hard to love, you are not asking for too much. You are simply asking for what's real, and real love shows up not with excuses, not with empty apologies, but with action. Let his actions speak louder than his words, and when they do, listen, because love isn't what someone says they feel. It's what they show you every single day.